Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, and welcome to what is the second episode of my Music series. And this is the first episode that is going to have a musical guest involved. This week, I am happy to welcome Eugene's Machines to the show. This is a band that I'm very familiar with, and I've played with since I started my musical journey. So I am very, very excited to have them on the show. Joining me to sit down and talk is Vern Jeske and Brad Jeske. Eugene's Machines is a mid-Michigan band that does a large catalog of cover music with a lot of songs that people are familiar with, but also some off-the-wall numbers that people get really excited when they pull out and bring into a live show. This sets them apart from a lot of other acts, and they have played shows anywhere from Holton Lake to Saginaw to Caro and Auburn, and they are booking 2021 shows. Real quick, this video is not sponsored in any way, and all the opinions shared are either my own or my guests, and they should be taken as such. So if there ever is a sponsored video, you will see a little blurb in the corner of the video saying that includes a paid promotion, and I will probably include a short video segment like this letting you know who the sponsor is. One last note that this episode is dedicated to the memory of our friend of the band, Matt Cooper Gehrcke, who we lost last year. He is a longtime friend and a bandmate and our go-to sound guy, and he is sorely missed, and this episode is dedicated to him, and you will definitely hear his name come up multiple times throughout the segment. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Eugene's Machines. Thanks for coming on, you guys. I'm really happy and really excited you guys are here and that we can sit down and talk some music. You guys go ahead and introduce yourselves as a band. You know, who are Eugene's Machines? What do you guys do? What kind of music do you play? How long have you been playing together? Go ahead and take it away.
You want to kick it off, Brad?
All right. Well, we're Eugene's Machines. I'm Brad. I own basses and I occasionally pretend to play one. And this is Vern. This is my dad. And he also owns guitars and pretends to play one once in a while and sings.
Pretends to sing.
Yeah, pretends to sing as well. And we started a couple summers ago. We'd been talking about it for years, just saying, hey, we should go play stuff. We should go play shows. We should go do this. We should go do that. And unfortunately, I never jumped on board. And you and him went and played some shows. And, then I got a little jealous and I had to jump in too.
Well, that's, it's all been great. It's been a lot of fun. I consider myself, I'm not a musician. I'm a rodeo clown with musical instruments. And, I don't consider myself a guitar player and I don't consider myself a singer. I'm, the way we kind of started out, I'm just kind of sing and play my own accompaniment. And luckily along the way, you guys all jumped in and now we became a band. And you ask us about Eugene's Machine, really what we are. We're almost more of an entity than a band. It's, we have some different members that play. We lost one this year, sadly. It was devastating to us, to all of us. And, it's whoever can make it kind of thing. And it's a lot of fun. One of our other mates here that we play with is Phil Hahn. Phil does a lot of grunge type stuff and alternative stuff. And Brad and I and Brian, we play, more rock stuff, but, we have to throw country stuff in there as a mix, try to be kind of versatile. And when we first started out, we decided that we weren't going to be like we were basically an acoustic band starting out. And we said that we don't want to be like everybody else. We don't want to play the same 50 acoustic songs that all the other guys that do that do. We're not playing the Beatles and, we're not doing the Elvis stuff and everything else. We wanted to, because there's so much really great music out there that nobody hears. And so we decided to be a little bit different. We still have our really core solid songs that we play, but then we have other songs that nobody else plays.
What are a couple of your favorite kind of off-kilter songs that you guys have in your repertoire that a lot of people aren't accustomed to hearing live? Just to name a few.
Go ahead, Brad.
So this one actually popped up, and we actually had a few people come up. We were like, wow, we've never heard that song before. We play You Got Lucky by Tom Petty. And oddly enough, we have a little bit of an interesting arrangement because we play through it, but when it gets to that lead area, I actually play that lead area on my bass, and people really, really are receptive to it. We do a Chris Stapleton song called Whiskey and You. It's been covered by Aaron Lewis. It's been covered by Tim McGraw, but we do the original Chris Stapleton style recording of it. And we just do a few of the songs that we love that we don't necessarily say, oh, well, this is going to get good reception. We like playing this song for us. And therefore, because we feel that it's a great song and we play it very well, it's almost always received very well.
Yeah, and to expand on the Chris Stapleton song that we do, it's if you haven't heard it before, people out there in internet land, listen to that song. It's really great. It's like it's almost like an a cappella song. I don't play on it. I just sing. Brad plays on it, and we do get a lot of comments on that, and it's just a great song. Some of the other songs that we play that are, no one else plays. We play an old song from the 60s, a Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs song, Little Red Riding Hood. And we love playing that. It's a lot of fun. Three of us play that. And that's a lot of fun. It always gets a good reception.
That song in particular is always interesting to me because as soon as we start rolling out with that song, everybody kind of perks up a little bit and they're suddenly paying attention. Either they haven't heard that song in a very long time, or they've never heard it before and it catches their attention. They want to go back and listen to the original. So I think that's one of the perks of that setup where you're kind of playing some of the deep cuts, you're playing some of the lesser known songs. It kind of makes people dig a little deeper. And a lot of times when you start digging into the deeper stuff is when you really find where an artist is really, really articulate and really creative. You mentioned Tom Petty. I think to speak for both of you saying that you were heavily influenced by him. Go ahead and explain in your own words, what Tom Petty as an artist and his music has meant for you guys, and just some of the songs that you have really stuck out to you that he wrote.
Yeah, I always joke we're trying not to be a Tom Petty cover band, but we do love the stuff. And the first one that you and I played together, Brian, it was a great success for us, and it's our signature ending song. It has been right along, that was a lot of fun. It still is today. Brian,
Good to Be King. That was
Good to Be
King.
I
remember the first time we ever played that song together.
Yeah, and how it started. I said, hey, I love that song. I'm going to see if I can learn to play it. And then if I can do that, I'll go to Brian and say, hey, Brian, you put the cool stuff in. And that's what we did.
Well, that was a cool moment the first time we played that together. I always remember that. And, it's always a good time to get together and play music. And it always means more when you're playing with people you care about. And I think that what makes the band unique is that we all have such a good relationship and we can all feed off each other. And, we've got that charisma together. What are a couple of you as guitar players, as bass player, as artists, who are a couple other artists that you would consider to be biggest influences for you? People who interested you in picking up the instrument, people that interest you and want you to keep playing and, you know, inspire you to keep playing?
You want to take it, Brad?
Well, I grew up in an oddball time because I had just a huge mix of genres. I grew up on, you know, Metallica and hip hop and a bunch of different stuff. But when I started playing bass, I was listening to a lot of grunge, the Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden. I was listening to Helmet and some of that industrial stuff. But then again, I was also listening to like Wu-Tang Clan. And it was funny because how the bass really represented me and I represented the bass was I got to listen to this music, but then I got to realize that, oh, you know, that song was a sample of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Oh, that was Otis Redding. Oh, that was, you know, Michael Jackson. And so all of a sudden I start going down this rabbit hole where, oh, you know, now I've found out who James Jamerson was, you know, or, and those things, I mean, really kind of compounded where, you know, I learned backwards from listening to what was around in my time. And then as things progressed, I also got into like some really, really heavy metal. And, you know, now I'm listening to some oddball stuff. But even then, you know, a couple things that really stood out to me was Les Claypool was a huge influence to me. Cliff Burton from Metallica was a huge influence to me. Ryan Martini from Mudvayne. I mean, I play a 5-string Warwick. It's, you know, Ryan Martini is a huge influence. Now, I'll never transcend to his level, but that was, I mean, just an amazing influence and sound and seeing all of the things that you could do with a bass. Really, I mean, those are huge influences of mine.
My influences were much simpler. The first influence for me was a very good friend of mine, even today. His name is Vance Bartel. I'd never really known personally a guitar player, a really good guitar player that could sit down and play a song front to back perfectly. And so that inspired me. And he let me borrow his 12-string that he had and showed me a few chords, and I fell in love with the 12-string. And then, so next thing I know, you know, I got musical instruments all over the house. And then Brad was at an impressionable age. And I said, like, here, Brad, here's all this stuff. Why don't you learn how to play some of this stuff? You know, so he did. And then my late friend, Matt Gehrcke, that passed on, the same thing. All that influence came from my friend Bart. And, you know, from there, I mean, you know, I like a lot of music, and there's so much really good stuff out there. We're talking about that. We're talking about like some of the songs that we play. You know, classic rock radio is a staple for just about everywhere. But unfortunately, you know, it's a 100-song loop. It drives me nuts. There's all this great music out there that people are not exposed to unless they go and pursue it. You know, there's a lot of stuff. So, you know, some of the stuff that we do is a little off the radar, but it works well for us because, you know, when we play a lot of gigs, we get hired back again, you know, and it's not so much even that, because we have a good balance of paid gigs, and we do lots of benefits. You know, if there's a worthy benefit out there and we're approached, as you know, we do that. You know, we do our part with that, and we really enjoy that, and it's good for us too because we get exposure. So I hope that answered your question, Brian.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, guys. You mentioned your live shows. You've done quite a few live shows as a band. What is your most memorable moment from a live show that you've played together?
Brad, do you have one?
Oh, I've got a couple.
All right.
Probably one of
Share a couple. I'm not picky.
one of my favorite moments. We were playing loggers out in Saginaw, and the place was just packed up. I mean, people were standing, but it was pretty full. And all of a sudden, you look out as I'm playing along, and it was me, Dad, and Phil at the time. We were playing. I don't even remember what we were playing, and everybody's singing along to the songs. I mean, it was amazing. It was like one of those arena areas where you can see a huge rock star, and everybody's singing your song. It was one of those moments, it wasn't our song, but we were playing along and everybody was singing along, and you're like, that is amazing. Like, what a cool feeling. The other one was, I will honestly say, is our first show, all of us at the car show, when we played the car show at Bay Valley Christian Church, opening up for Question Mark and the Mysterians. Unreal. Because it was like all of the hard work. It was all of everything that we had done. It was the three of us lined up doing what we had done 100 times before, but all of a sudden it was like magic in a bottle. Those were the two that really stand out to me.
Well, and I gotta agree with Brad. I don't know if you can see this. Let me move a little bit closer. See if you can see this photo. You might agree.
Yep.
Now, to me, that was probably the most memorable show, because it was our first show together, the three of us, as Eugene's Machines. And, as you remember, the three of us hadn't really played together before. And so we, you and I learned some songs, and Brad and I learned some songs. And then, so this was a Saturday outdoor gig at a car show.
It was 85 degrees outside.
Yeah, the night before it was 90 degrees, and the three of us set up in Brad's garage, and we went through our set list. We played the songs, and we didn't know how it was going to go, but we went out there and ripped the Band-Aid off, and we get hired back every year. This past year, 2020, we were supposed to be the headliner, but of course it didn't happen. So hopefully this year we can get back on the horse. That's always a lot of really a fun show.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of that show, that is probably one of my most memorable ones too for us. And it's because it was one of those things where it was a toss of, we were kind of throwing stuff together and making it work. And it did work, and it worked great. But probably the thing I remembered most about that show is that it was in a torrential downpour towards the end. And I remember it was about a half-inch of rain right directly behind my amp that was just about to go in the back of my amp. And I remember that very vividly, like, oh no. You always hear the horror stories. That was definitely one of the most memorable moments for me too. That you speak about the car show and that kind of thing in Bay City. You guys are pretty well based down in that area, and you brought up loggers too. What is the pipe dream show venue for the Machines? Where's one place that you would love to play at that you haven't had a chance to yet?
There are a lot of medium-sized venues. I don't think we're a big venue group. We could open up for somebody. Yeah, I don't know. I've never really put a lot of thought into that, I guess.
A band like us, we might not be a headlining act or anything like that, but for us to go out and open for, Bay City used to do the River Roar and stuff like that every year. For us to go and play in front of 800 to 1,000 people and at the new renovated Friendship Shell downtown.
That's kind of what I was saying.
In front of a big crowd before a headliner. I mean, that would be well enough perfect for us.
Yeah.
Because that right there would be like, okay, this is just a part-time gig where I get to hang out with my old man and my cousin. This is and when Phil's around with a buddy of mine, this is not it was never intended as my money maker. It was never intended as a job. It was me going out and continuing to keep, my skills my decompression, this is therapy. This to all of us is therapy without saying a word. It relieves every little bit of stress. It relieves everything. You go out, you play your music, you connect with people out in the audience, you bounce around without a care, and you, for however long that you're doing it, fade into the world and just have a great time. And that's all I ever wanted out of it.
And if they plead with you to stay longer and play longer, we do that, because that happens.
I think that's what makes the band unique is the machines know who the machines are. You're not trying to be anybody that you aren't. You know who you are, you know where your lane is, you know where your niche is. And I think that's kind of invaluable in a time when I think some people have some identity issues with music, frankly. Now, both of you kind of hinted at it a little bit earlier, but let's shift this and start talking some gear. Vern, you talked about your 12 strings. You're an avid 12 string acoustic guitar player. I know you've got a couple of them. If you had to pick one or the other, which is your favorite?
Well, that's an impossible question to answer, but I will tell you, right here next to me, I have my breed love. Yeah, this is my main workhorse, and I just love it. It like Brad said, we never did this for money. We basically just make enough money to keep continually upgrading our gear, and so that's what we do. But this thing is my main workhorse, and then along with that, my Ovation, when it requires 6-string stuff, which is also my other workhorse. These are the ones that I play on stage. I have other guitars. I have several other guitars, but these are the ones that day in, day out, they go to the shows, and we make the noise with them. We bought some 1,000-watt. We've got about 4 PA systems now. And last year we bought some 1,000-watt powered speakers in a different board. And all that's been a game changer for us, because as you know, like when the three of us are playing together, you're wailing over here and Brad's, creating an earthquake over here. I'm trying to sing and play, and I'm into a black hole because even with the monitors, I can't hear myself. Now we have in-ear monitor system, which is changed the game for me. I can hear everything now. And so I can hear my guitar perfectly. I can hear the vocals perfectly.
And he can't hear anything.
And you guys,
most of the time. So.
And you guys, don't drown me out anymore. So that's a big deal. But the speakers, the system that we have is really powerful, and it's really made a difference. Now, my other 12-string that I have is the one that I got this one in 1991, and it's a Seagull. And I don't play that on stage very often. It's not as feedback friendly as the Breedlove is, but the acoustic sound in this thing, you would have to spend a lot of money on an acoustic 12-string to find one that sounds better than this. It is just, and Brad will attest to that. This thing is just wonderful sound. And once you pick it up, it's one of those kind of hard to put down.
Well, you talked about some of your live sound equipment. What would be, and you talked a little bit about the in-ear monitors, so I don't know if that's kind of the answer to the question, but what is your one piece of live sound equipment that you really can't live without?
Right here.
What's something that...
I like the Sennheiser microphones. I got a Sennheiser 935, and I'm telling you, this thing, you can hear a bird whisper through this mic. It's really good. It's really clear. I've tried a bunch of different mics, and this is the one right here for me. And then also acoustically, I've got a pedal. We always talk about pedals and stuff. I got this TC Helicon Play Acoustic, and this thing is magic in a box. I'm telling you. This thing is, you can have a lot of different vocal effects on it, doubling, tripling, different reverbs, delays, harmonies, different, endless harmonies. It's really cool. The only thing that's a little bit disappointing to me is that it's not that user friendly. If you're playing live, it's it's kind of unpredictable. Sometimes I'll lose my presets and stuff, and I got to start all over. So, but I use it. Brad and I use it when we rehearse a lot, and man, what a nice piece of equipment.
It's got
Awesome.
a really great compression gate. It's got it's got a loop if we needed to play something on a loop, just so we can kind of keep continuous. So I could learn a part, or he could learn a part, or something like that. We could loop on it. It's a really good piece, but yeah, it is a little inconsistent sometimes. And I don't know if that's user error, or if it's just the way the thing's built.
Brad, I know you kind of poked the headstock of one of your basses out, but which one of your basses is your favorite? Which is your main workhorse? Is it the 5-string Warwick, or is it something different?
Yeah, so this is my workhorse. This is my Warwick Corvette standard 5-string. It's a German made. It's not like a master class or anything like that. It's just a standard passive bass, but it sounds like every bass that I've always ever wanted. I was always the kind of person who never believed that the equipment would make a major difference in your playing. It was always the person had the skill, and the equipment was secondary until I got this. And this really was a game changer to me. She's my baby. She'll be my baby forever. And I try to take good care of her, keep it serviced. All you players out there, take your guitars to your technicians, pay them, even if they just ask for cases of beer. It's okay. They deserve it. But this is my main workhorse. I've just recently purchased my first brand new bass that I've ever owned, which is a Harley Benton BZ4000. It's an active bass, 4-string soapboxes, 3 band EQ things. Super nice playing, super good sounding. It's a neck through. It's a beautiful guitar and rather inexpensive, but it was just it was something that I really wanted to have. And then actually a couple pieces that I brought for the first time ever. I have actually owned a Fender, which was always the standard for bass players. And I've that P bass sound, that J bass sound is so iconic. I've just always hated them until now. And I found one that I really, really liked the feel of it. And I started playing it, and it made sense. And then recently I've also built a bass. I don't have it with me. It's currently being serviced by Matt at Omni Guitars. It's getting ready for.
Well, you should say too that you built it from scratch.
Okay.
He built it from a pile of wood. He didn't just buy some parts and put it together.
Yes.
It wasn't a parts bass. It was from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was interesting. It's made out of roasted ash and mahogany. It was originally a neck through, but I screwed that up, and I had to lop the neck off and get a different neck. But that was a different story. But I've wired up the electronics and installed it, everything. And this was kind of the project of me and Matt Gehrcke for a long time. And it had kind of been on the back burner, in and out, up and down, but we worked on it on the weekends, and we were weekend warriors on it. And when he passed, I went home from his funeral that day, and the only thing I wanted to do was finish it. And so I spent the rest of the night wiring and polishing and sanding and installing all of the parts. And at the end of the night, I had a playable bass that I could plug in and it worked. And there was no better testament. You know, he was the guy who kind of said, "Hey, you should be a bass player." And
that's true.
Yeah, it wasn't for any reason other than his own selfish, ploy to eventually have me play bass for him, because he knew some point in time he was going to be a bass player. But that was his gift to the world, and there was a million of them, but one of his gifts to me was just the fact that he said, here's this monster, go take it and run with it. And that's what I've done. And that will, his legacy actually it lives inside me. And then now that I have this bass that will also be part of his legacy that I will play, and it's part of him too.
Yeah.
So I mean, just those are my main pieces.
Yeah. Now let me interject. Now, Brian, as you know, I'm doing the majority of the vocals, so I'm doing the rhythm, I'm keeping the train rolling. So, I can't really play lead. So if it's you and I, that works great. But if it's not you and I and Brad, or if it's just me and Brad, then Brad plays a lot of lead bass, because I don't, with two of us, somebody has to put all that, the cool stuff in. And so that's either you or Brad. So
I think there's something very serious to be said, that there's people that play bass and there's people that play bass.
Yeah.
And Brad is one of those people that is really, honed his skills over the year, and he's really, really strong. He's not a bass player. He's a player. So, and that, Brad, that story about your guitar and Matt, that was a really touching tribute to him. And, clearly that means a lot to you, and he would be one of your influences too, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
So to kind of finish up our time here, I wanted to kind of change up and shift gears a little bit, and I wanted to do some rapid fire questions with you. So I'm going to ask you a question, and then each of you give me your quickest response, whatever comes in your head first.
All right. That's going to be pretty slow for him.
First question is, what's your preferred guitar brand?
Mine's Breedlove or Ovation.
If money wasn't an option, I want a Carl Thompson.
Wow.
But I mean, Warwick is mine.
If we're talking top of the hill, then it's a Rickenbacker 12-string. That's it for me.
Who is an artist or band that you love that you don't think gets enough attention?
Spirit Box.
Well, I'm going to go with the guitar player, and even though he gets a lot of attention, he doesn't get the attention that he really deserves, and that's Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh, when he plays guitar, every note is thought out precisely.
What is your favorite music genre?
Well, mine's various forms of rock and roll. I do like a lot of metal and stuff. There's, rock in general, country, if it's actual country, but that's not a minor part of it. But I'm a rocker, so's he.
Yeah. Oh, I'm lots and lots of metalcore, death metal. I mean, a lot of the new djent, all of that gent stuff is all right in my bag.
We talked about an underappreciated artist or band. Who do you think is an overrated artist or band?
Well, I don't know.
I'm putting you on the spot here. I apologize.
I'm not answering that.
Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion. AC/DC.
Oh, you are so wrong on that. That is so far wrong. You ever watch an AC/DC audience? It looks like one gigantic pulsating organism. You couldn't be more wrong on that.
That's right.
Brad.
I've never been one, and I understand their value. I understand everything.
These guys, I appreciate bands that give it everything they got. Doesn't matter if it's the symphony orchestra, a metal band, or what, but these guys, they leave nothing on the table ever. They don't.
I think you hit a nerve there, Brad.
I've never found the appeal.
What's one piece of gear that you no longer own that you wish you still did?
Yeah, I bought from my buddy Matt Gehrcke, 25 years ago, a full crate stack. He had it, Matt Gehrcke eyes. He had it souped up. 2 cabinets, a headset on the top, and that thing, I'd play my Jackson on it over here on the stand, and this thing was a pavement ripping machine. I'm kind of glad I got rid of it because, my hearing's bad enough now, but it would certainly be fun to put on some headphones and let the neighbors know you're still alive.
And me, this just goes to show you how big of an influence. When I was a kid, the first guitar I ever got was a 6-string. It was like an ES garbage model Epiphone that Cooper had beat the crap out of. It was missing a pickup. One of the pickups was filled in with black tape. I mean, it was just a Frankenstein. And I played the living crap out of that guitar. And I traded it to one of my buddies for an amp that I don't even know what happened.
Weed, probably.
And maybe some weed. Maybe. But I asked him about it later. He said that he took the guitar apart. It ended up in pieces in his closet when he was a kid, and then he didn't know what ended up happening to it. And I wish I had that thing back.
All right, one more rapid fire question for you guys. Vern, you already kind of answered it earlier. If there was one artist that you had the chance to play with, who would it be?
For me, it would have been Tom Petty. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's got to be Cliff Burton. I want to play with Cliff Burton.
Again, you guys, thank you so much for sitting down with me. Where can people find you online? Where can people listen to your music? Do you have any upcoming shows or anything like that on tap going forward?
Well, Brad will tell you about, we do have a website. It's kind of inactive, but we're looking forward to some stuff. We got some things that we can't say right now that we have them for sure. But I think as summer goes on, it's going to open up and we're going to be playing some of our usual events that we do. But my buddy Brian Charbonneau, he's basically our
unofficial bookie.
He's our booking agent. I haven't talked to him, but he's usually saying, "Hey, what are you guys doing next weekend?"
And you can find us Eugene's Machines on Facebook. We've just got a basic Facebook page. It has Messenger, so if you want to contact us about shows, we're open to them, and we're willing to travel through the state of Michigan, and we're fairly reasonable price, and we have a few hours worth of material to play.
We're all about the fun.
We're all about fun. We don't want, headaches or chaos or anything like that. We want to just load in, play our music, sit back and relax and just watch everybody have a good time.
So that is it for episode 2 of My Music. Thank you again to Eugene's Machines for being a part of this project and for sitting down with me for a little while. I'm so glad that they could join me and talk about their music and what they do and why it excites them. Stay tuned. Next week's episode number 3, I will be welcoming Gary King to the show. excellent sit down with Gary, and I look forward to sharing it with you. Be sure to like the video if you like it, dislike it if you don't like it, share it if you feel inclined, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.